What's up guys, it's your favorite Q coach. Welcome back to another student before and after video. This one's going to be a good one. Early release again. I know you guys love this topic. Let's hop in. So welcome back to the channel guys. If you guys are new to Q Golf Japan, we do a bunch of videos like this every single week. So what you got to go do is hit that little red subscribe button, smash the like button, please leave me a comment. Let me know if you like this video. And as always, please hit that little bell notification. You guys are going to get notified every single time we drop a video. Alright guys, so we have another early releaser, right? I know you guys really love this topic. Again, handle first is really popular. We've been actually, we're thinking about starting a new YouTube video series where we basically react to other YouTube golf instructors' channels and videos. So we've been watching a lot of videos lately, and a lot of them are talking about handle first. So I think this topic is definitely very popular in Japan. And I think it has staying power, which just means that I think it's going to be popular for a long period of time, right? So this is why we're definitely starting to talk about it a little bit more, as well as we want to just give you guys maybe more information than what most people are talking about it, because we do see that most of the time, most golf instructors out here in Japan do have a good concept of it, but I think that there's some missing elements that really need to be talked about for this concept to be really useful to you guys out there who are trying to do it. So without further ado, let's go take a look at the before swing first. We're going to take a look at the after swing, and I'm going to leave you off with a few checkpoints that you should be thinking about before you start with the handle first. Okay, so if you see the before swing, what I really want to talk about in this specific video is we're going to talk about the tilts and bends. Now, if you watched our channel, if you haven't watched our channel, we have another video where we actually draw angles and we talk about forces and torques a little bit more in detail. We'll leave a link below to that video as well, because it definitely pertains to this video. But this video, I just want to be, just because we've already talked about it in another video, I just want to talk a little bit more about tilts and bends, because this also has a pretty strong correlation between what the player is going to do with that early release or not. So as this player starts down, he almost immediately starts to tilt, right? Tilting is just this right side lateral bend look where the sternum starts to move in this fashion in transition. So immediately starts to tilt. We're going to see that right around P5, we're also seeing that the head is starting to tilt, right? The neck is tilting this way, sternum's tilting back, right? Whenever we see something like that, as well as the hips sliding forward, we're going to see, most likely, an early release. Now, as we get down into what I call the checkpoint position for the early release, again, this is when the middle of the hands, right? So where the right hand and the left hand meet on the grip, I like to use that as a measurement tool. So when that part of what I'm talking about gets towards the right thigh, this is when you want to start checking for early release or not. This player, as we can see, if I draw an arrow here, this would be an example of early release. Again, remember, we want to see the club shaft parallel to the ground at this position for most golfers. Now, for slower swinging players, you actually might want to look a little bit more like this player is here. But again, this player was swinging relatively fast. I think he was swinging a 7-iron roughly around 35 meters per second, 36 meters per second. So it's going to be okay for this player to get a little bit more handle first than maybe a lady golfer or a junior golfer. But we're going to have more of that in the end of the video, so keep watching all the way till the end. Okay, so now from here, as we can see, he's early releasing, and then let me zoom out just so you can see the golf ball. We can also see that, again, he's tilting even more through that section of P5 to P6. His neck is tilting even more. We have an emoji on his head, so you can't really see it, but he's definitely tilting that neck there. And then as he gets an impact, we're going to see the very classic kind of, you can call it, some people call it a flip, some people call it adding loft. What I like to call it really is just a adding loft type of move. I like that a little bit better because that's really what it is. And he's basically extending this lead wrist. His hips are slid out in front of him. His sternum is back, his neck is back, and he's kind of this way right here, right? If you look that way at impact, you're going to be hitting the ball really high, and that's exactly what this player was currently doing here. And again, a lot of it had to stem from the way that he was tilting and bending. And then as we get through the golf ball, we're going to see that he continues to kind of keep the head behind the golf ball, which is very common here in Japan, right? They want you to keep your head this way through the impact zone. And then as he starts coming up probably right about here, you start seeing the chest start to move a little bit. He starts to rotate and then gets to a pretty decent finish here. So let's go take a look at the after swing and show you guys what we changed. Okay, the first thing you're going to change or see that's changed is really this P5 position. So as you can see, as he starts to kind of lower down and get into that squat motion, what we're seeing is we're actually seeing the left shoulder stay in left side lateral bend a little bit longer. We're not seeing this immediate right side lateral bend movement as he had in the before. And let me kind of show you that, right? So that's that immediate right side lateral bend to P5. And now this video, we're actually seeing a lowering of that left shoulder, and he's not starting the right side lateral bend movement too early. He's actually getting a proper sequence on the right of your screen over here. Now, as we go from P5 to P6, we're also going to continue to see that he's not necessarily coming out of right side lateral bend too quickly. Yes, is he starting to move towards right side lateral bend? 100% yes. But he's not doing it very, very quickly, or he's not doing a lot in this section. And you can kind of see that if I get to the checkpoint right here. So again, the checkpoint that I like to draw is if you draw the center point of this angle right on the belt buckle, and then draw the next line on the sternum, and then draw the next line right here, you can see that he's over right around 178 degrees. And he's actually, in this particular video, if I'm seeing it correct, he's actually got the sternum in front of the belt buckle, which for a 7-iron, that's a little bit overdone. You want to be right around 180 to about 175 is a pretty good range with that sternum for a 7-iron. So he's overdoing it a little bit, but again, remember, if we take a look at the old position and I draw the same angle, he was heavily tilted at this position. So again, we were trying to just get a little bit of an extreme feel. See how he's at 169. We're trying to get a little bit of an extreme feel just to kind of get him back towards the middle. But he does know his checkpoints, which is, again, really important. You got to know your checkpoints. As we start coming into impact, we're going to see that the early release in the before, and now we're going to see the handle first in the after, right? So body looks much different, hands are much different, club head's in a much different position. We can see that the right knee right here is actually starting to kick in. He's starting to use a lot more linear force at the right time. And overall, he's just in a much better spot with the body to be able to support that handle first, as well as be able to support the rotation we want throughout the impact zone. And you can really see that here. This was the before. This is the after. Notice how the chest is releasing now. Notice how he's much more up and down. He's not so much tilted through this section. Notice where the difference of the head is, right? I know I have an emoji over his head, but the before he was much more this way. After, now he's much more almost neutral where he should be if he wants to rotate effectively. And then this is the P9 before. This is kind of the P9 afterwards. So he's much more rotated with the chest. He's fully released his right foot. He's done a lot better job of rotating through the shot. And again, a lot of this was because he's understanding the tilts and bends of the golf swing. So I'm going to leave it off with the mechanical talk there for a second, and I want to real quickly go into the checkpoints that I promised you guys at the beginning of this video. So checkpoint number one, first things first, you got to understand, do I need to get this amount of handle first? And let me go back to just show you his impact so you guys can kind of see this. Because this is quite a bit of handle first. Even for this player's club head speed, this is too much. He's going to hit the ball too low. But again, remember, we're trying to get him a little bit more exaggerated, but he does know his actual checkpoints. So if you're swinging your 7-iron like 35 meters per second or higher, it's okay to get handle first, right? You want your hands ahead of the club head by a decent amount. Now, if you're swinging like, let's say 34 meters per second or like 32 or 31 meters per second, you probably don't want to have hardly any handle first, right? So if this was kind of how much hands first I was, you want to be maybe a little bit more almost neutral where the club head and the hands are in a line, because that's going to give you the correct amount of dynamic loft for your club head speed. So then you're ultimately going to be able to hit the ball further because you have the correct loft relative to your speed. So think about it common sense, and this is really the main point that I want to get across in this video, because I think a lot of instructors are leaving this point out of their videos. You got to make sure that you're matching the dynamic loft to your club head speed. I see so many videos out there on YouTube where we have these coaches teaching young female golfers, young junior golfers that don't have club head speed to get handle first. And that's probably the worst thing you could possibly teach those kids, because they're going to hit the ball way too low. They're not going to be able to hold greens. They're probably going to start tilting a lot. They're probably going to start contorting their body a lot trying to get that position. And they're really ultimately going to probably ruin a lot of their junior golf career trying to do something like that. So again, make sure, guys, before you start trying to get some movements in your golf swing, make sure it's actually going to work for your own golf swing. Point number 2, I think it's heavily important to just understand the tilts and bends in the golf swing. It's one of the hardest part for amateur golfers and professional golfers to get in their golf swings because, again, you got to be able to control your front bend, left side bend, right side bend, extension, pelvic tilts, right knee flexion. You got to be able to really control all of that stuff while you're swinging at fast speed. So I think it's really important just to understand what needs to happen when, and then have a process to kind of put it in place, which leads us to our third point. Make sure that you guys understand your checkpoints to a T. I can't tell you how many times in lessons we have clients who have really amazing before and after results, and they lose it about a week later or 2 weeks later because in the lesson they were so focused on the look of the new swing, they were so in love with that feeling that they forgot about the checkpoints. And then because they forgot about the checkpoints, they weren't able to understand what was correct, what was bad about that new swing. And then they ultimately couldn't fix it when the swing reverted back. Again, if you know your checkpoints, it makes it so much easier to follow a process. When you do revert back to your old swing, you'll know how to get back to it because you know, first off, what you need to be looking for. Super important. All right, guys, so anyways, I'll leave it off at that. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. I'll see you guys again next time.